Greetings, travelers, and you have found yourself lost in the woods and have ended up, to your dismay, on the doorstep of this month's episode of the bonus PCP!
God damn, nigga!
You are in for a show of unbelievable proportions. Indeed, to coin a phrase, unlike any other. It is going to be a monster, and let's get right the fuck into it. I'm the best guy ever, and we got Hypocrite.
I believe no people are gamers or gators. But
Ben
only
Saint.
investigate. Oh,
Hashtag Coney did nothing wrong, my dudes.
I'm gonna cut that out of my own life.
Oh, it's too. Yeah, good. It'll be strange. Tom Oliver.
Red pill now. Alt-right is right.
And Munchie Shatsky.
Impeach Coney 2012.
All right.
Oh, wait. Oh, God, I forgot. I stole your Coney thunder.
What? Oh,
because,
right.
Wait, maybe no one heard me. I was talking about Coney while Hippo was talking, and then I forgot that we hadn't already said that before the show.
Dude, how embarrassing.
Thereby retroactively fucking myself.
We just learned before the show that Nate does not know what Coney 2012 is. He's never
I have
heard
no
or seen Coney
idea,
2012.
which is it's very strange. All these guys know extensive knowledge. They were deep
Everybody
on the campaign
knows,
volunteers.
Everybody knows about Coney.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Coney 2012? I don't know. Should we just get... Oh, let me just say the topic, which is relevant. Okay, here's the topic, guys.
I have something to suggest, Ben, actually. Sorry, Nate. The same person, rather.
Right, understood.
When applicable, I think it's appropriate to use, instead of Urban Dictionary, Know Your Meme for bonus episode topics.
I'll allow it on occasion. I'll allow it.
That's a good idea. I'm about that.
Well, I mean, hey, I was going to start with defining our terms once again, just so we can know where we're going with. So let's just begin with that. The topic, everyone, Gamergate versus the 2016 United States presidential election.
This is the two biggest historical debacles of our time.
It's unbelievable. Can you believe this is like Floyd Merriweather versus Dick Masterson? It's a fight that you'll never even see in the real world.
This is a debate of debates, a fight of fights, the conclusion of two epic sagas, clashing ideologies, and wicked morals.
Honestly, $5 is too little to charge for this.
It is.
This tome of knowledge and exploration of cultural relevance should really be more than $5.
You people get on your fucking knees when you listen to this episode and thank us for the gift. Yeah, exactly. All right.
Kingdoms of Light and Darkness compete to see who will have complete domination over the genesis and wellspring of infinite creative potential in this fucking episode.
Well, let's just get right the fuck to it and define our terms here, okay? Here we go. Urban Dictionary is defining Gamergate as a word used to describe the events surrounding the Zoe Quinn scandal when gaming journalists refused to cover the incident and instead attacked and generalized their audience. Friend 1, eating Doritos. Hey, have you heard about Gamergate? Friend 2, drinking Mountain Dew. Yeah, fuck gaming journalism. That's our working definition.
That's a pretty red pill definition for sure.
It is.
So
okay, you know what?
It's very
There's a
telling
second
we know
that
where this person's
the Urban
loyalties
Dictionary
lie.
has, no meme definition as the first definition.
Definition 2 here is Gamergate, the consumer revolt surrounding the corruption in gaming journalism. This group of people has been demonized as misogynists.
They've been demonetized too. Let's be fucking real.
That too. As misogynists by the journalists in question as an attempt to silence and discredit the people trying to expose their corruption. You know what? I don't actually like this as much because it does not stating the argument from the other side, which is that games are a boys' club that needs to get woke and shook and say yes, queen, and smash that glass ceiling and stop being so misogynistic.
Stop
that is like their argument.
Stop being so
God damn
misogynistic,
it.
you turkeys.
And then from knowyourmeme.com, the 2016 United States presidential election. The 2016 presidential election was the 58th quadrillennial presidential election in the U.S. that took place on November 8, 2016. The two major candidates were the former First Lady, Secretary of State, and Democrat Senator Hillary Clinton, running with Tim Kaine, and Republican real estate muggle Donald Trump, running with Mike Pence. Donald Trump was elected the 45th president of the United States after defeating Hillary Clinton in electoral vote.
Wait,
I just
See,
want to
this is
say
why-
that was the best birthday present of all time. Because November 8th
No, but
is
see-
my birthday. So the fact that the God Emperor ascended on the date of my birth was the most gracious gift creation could have
Does
given
that
to
mean
me.
you're Donald Trump's son? Is that what
Oh
that means?
God, if I could be so lucky to have even
Well, see, this is what you can expect from the clowns over at knowyourmeme.com, because the winner, of course, was Hillary, and I'm sick of
Oh
these jokes.
my
I'm sick of these
fucking
fucking
God.
jokes that Trump's the goddamn president. We need to
No.
wake the fuck up and face reality at long last and submit. Yes, that's there you go. All right, enough of that. Anyway, praise Trump, praise Keck. We did it, team.
Yes.
Our guy won.
We did it,
Hell
Reddit.
yes. Smash the establishment.
Pakistani representation is in the White House and it feels good.
Yeah.
right.
And then, okay, let's do it.
Before any of that, Coney 2012.
Yeah, we need to
Yeah,
roll the
yeah.
clock back a few years and really
Oh,
lay down
yes,
the
okay.
baseline.
Because
Time.
to understand Gamergate or the 2016
Both
context
the
provided by
seed of
Coney
evil.
yes.
2012.
Yeah.
Please go. Please.
Coney 2012 was this like campaign series, I would call it, in 2012, revolving around notable character and legend Joseph Kony, a Ugandan warlord in the middle of Africa.
So he's real. He's a real man.
Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
real
okay,
he's a
person.
real guy.
I'm stunned that this is news to you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm so
excited.
I'm
don't.
so
about this
blessed
shit.
I get to vicariously relive this.
Okay, go on. Go on.
And so Joseph Kony, these people, the invisible children, realized that Joseph Kony was mistreating and mishandling children and turned them into child soldiers. And so they decided to set out to make Kony famous and thus bring awareness towards his cause. Thus, 2012 was started in order to spread awareness about Kony and his
Whoa.
evil misdeeds and blood
That's some
diamond
deep
trafficking.
shit.
And then
That's like actually heroic. That's like
Well, it
being
sounds
used for the
pretty
power
good,
of
right?
good.
Like, it
You'll-
sounds good
you'll-
when you hear it.
You'll see. And so they set up
Okay.
some sort of fundraiser, and you could get sick Coney swag, and post Coney stickers and signs all over America, dedicated to making Coney 12,
Great
making
again.
Coney drunk again. And then like a week after the video goes live, gets I'm looking at it right now, 100 million views.
Whoa.
Incredibly, insanely popular video. Coney is now incredibly famous. It found out that like the people who are running Invisible Children just are stealing all of the money, and the guy who founded it all was caught jerking off in public, completely naked, stoned out of his mind, and he bought that marijuana using the money from the Kickstarter. Well, I don't know, Kickstarter,
I heard
donation.
about that part. I did hear about some guy jacking himself off in public, running up.
There's a pretty
Yeah.
widely circulated picture of one of the dudes just fucking around with a rocket launcher in the back of some Jeep in Africa. Just
Yeah.
whoa, I bought a rocket launcher with my shit.
So why did they get the money? Why would the whole point was to stop them from being good and
No,
money
it wasn't
and
them.
stuff, right?
There was a group who were trying to make Coney famous so that the
Yeah.
government would pay attention, and
Right.
they raised funds by selling this Coney merchandise that you're supposed to put everywhere, but they just took the money and didn't do anything with it, and then that came out, and then the masturbating came out, and then nobody cared about Coney 2012 because these guys were just such fucking
Assholes.
terrible PR people, I guess.
Oh, so then
I
Coney,
remember
the
hearing
end
at one
result was
point-
Coney was just famous now and
Well,
was just.
I remember hearing at one point that Coney, they completely mischaracterized. He was apparently at one point people were saying he was already dead for a decade before this whole campaign even started. I never got that deep down the rabbit hole because it was so removed at that point that I didn't care.
Yeah, that's
But,
that's the problem. As soon as the guys running the thing was shown to be really embarrassing, the whole is Coney gonna be stopped sort of stopped mattering in the minds of people, and now
That's
I didn't even
ridiculous.
look it up. I knew about it, but I was like, oh my god,
The narrative pretty much changed at that point from Coney as this evil madman to Coney probably wasn't even legit to begin with, and evidence kept pouring in that yeah, this was kind of overblown and bullshit.
So, Tom, you seem to be saying that this may, in fact, have been something of a scam, perhaps.
Well,
I
mean,
think-
it
I
obviously
think it
was
was-
because they were funneling money out in the fucking kickstart.
Joseph Kony was a real person, but I feel like his exploits were either semi-historical at that point because he was dead, and they were exploiting this this recent history for money, or they were greatly exaggerated, which is almost kind of dumb when you think about it, because like of course there's a bunch of awful atrocities going on in Africa all the time anyway. So like even if it's not the specific dude, like this is still a situation that's going on. But of course, if you can't put a name and a face to it, nobody gives a fuck.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it speaks a lot to just our failings of our culture in general.
And the video that was like that got 100 million views exploited. It was like a very emotionally like oh, we have a kid and we said, so what do you think about Coney? Who's Coney? And then he tells him all the horrors, and this little kid's just sitting there
This
like,
guy
oh, I
interviews
don't
his
think
like
it's
young
good.
son.
Yeah.
About
Do you
it.
think you should go to war? If you were, it's like, I don't want to go to war. These kids shouldn't go to war. And then there's like, look at this kid's eyes. Do you want donate, Kickstarter?
Yeah.
So if this was really all this money was actually going to specifically combating an African warlord, that would have been good. But
Well,
it does not
maybe.
appear to have been what really happened.
No.
I think there was like
Okay.
no actual plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was
Like
just
the plan
to make
was
him
make Coney
famous.
famous so that people will know, so
And
that
of
something
course,
will happen.
the way to make him famous was to buy their merch and plaster it everywhere, so more people would be aware and spend more money to raise more awareness.
Literally
really-
profiting off this
Right,
guy.
yeah. So right at the start, they were profiting off of the popularizing this warlord.
Yeah.
Yes.
And now to be fair, like this is a funny meme joke, and like maybe things just completely spiraled out of control.
It was
and they had
not
no
a joke.
idea.
It was not a joke.
Okay, I have not seen the video, so I just don't know. I guess, but
No, it was definitely played straight for sure.
okay,
Yeah.
so sounds
They
a little.
got-
And I'm
they got
watching this
caught
TMZ
being-
video.
And that's why we must praise day in, day out our Lord and Savior Joseph Kony.
Yes,
And that he
agreed.
made one day return and set the record straight and
What,
deny all the
what we're
allegations
trying to say
against him.
is Joseph Kony 2020.
Yeah, Joseph Kony 2020.
Against the might of the Trump presidency,
Yeah.
the Democratic Party is vacant, is desolate, waiting for a hero to fill the void.
Yeah, there's such a power vacuum after the dismantling of the
Look,
United States
we all
Democratic
know
Party.
Indeed,
the Democratic
indeed.
Party is all about representation. Then who better than a famous black person to come
Yeah.
in and just crush Donald Trump
Indeed.
himself?
Now,
So-
now let's get. Oh, well, do you have anything?
Everyone says that Trump acts like a child, so who better to beat him than someone who abuses children?
Yeah, dude, Coney 2012 definitely has the young people vote.
That's
By
for sure,
force.
dude.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this is all well and good.
Let's get this dog and Coney show on the Road, shall we?
Oh, it's time. It's time. Guys, I just gotta lay it on the line. Gamergate will fucking trounce the United States
You
presidential election of 2016 any
nigger.
fucking day of the week. Any day of... Gamergate is the single most powerful movement with the most complex meme shit there's ever been. Gamergate is life. Gamergate is love. And I will never understand why anyone could ever
if
think
you-
that a
if you
puny,
read the news-
insignificant
Prolapse on
thing...
those words.
You're
No.
fucking
If you
prolapse.
read,
Would ever
if you
fucking
read
matter.
CNN like an intelligent person like myself, you will
Yeah.
know that the reason Donald Trump even won is because of Gamergate.
Exactly. Beta Uprising has begun, and Gamergate was our Gettysburg.
Let's not fuck around. Both of
Okay.
these adversaries have so many statistical and moral advantages with one another that it is absolutely deflowered me deciding what opponent to sponsor. And although
Indeed.
I have harvested many an hour in the likes of Minesweeper and Undertale, I can't deny where my true passions lie. International political theater. I'm siding with my estranged father figure, Drumpf, on this one. I choose the 2016 presidential election. A shocking betrayal, but a necessary one nonetheless to all
Well,
of
Munchie,
gamerkind.
I don't even see this as necessarily like in this game that you're playing. Hillary is your ally in making the presidential election itself a competitive energy ball of chaos. That itself, that collective, is what rivals. I mean, I've got Sarkeesian Scalesian batting for my team going over here. And who
Do you
the
think-
fuck can you put up to fight against the Queen? My Queen.
Yeah,
You can't do it.
10 Anitas cannot announce to one atom of Hillary Clinton's pious queen-like figure. They couldn't even hold a fucking candle.
Look,
Don't come in my house with that shit.
you might have something on me. You might have something on me there, except for the fact that canonically, Anita and Zoe Quinn put on the Potara earrings and multiplied each other's powers by each other, combining into one super entity called Zoe Quarkscalesian. That is the most powerful
Brianna
creature
Wu,
the world has ever
the
seen.
fusion.
Yes, exactly.
What's a queen to a god? Because that's most definitely what Hillary Clinton is.
A fallen god, destroyed by
Hillary
a man,
is a lowly
single
earth
man.
elemental.
I
Hillary
can't believe
yearns for the grave.
you will fucking
Hillary
rue
yearns for the
those
grave
words.
every day.
What side are we all on? I'm
Yeah.
on the 2016 presidential.
Gamergate for life.
It's tough. It's
know.
tough.
Gamergate. Definitely
on, dude.
Gamergate.
Ben's on
Be on the right
Gamergate.
side
All
of
right.
history for once in your life.
Gamergate conjured the cosmic energies that were then channeled into
Yeah,
the
I'm
spirit
gonna have to-
bomb of
I'm
the
going with
2016
Gamergate.
I have a lot of work to do.
Gamergate
Indeed
was
you do.
just it was so delicious watching all this happen because it drew the battle lines in the sand. The culture war began with Gamergate. It was the shot heard round the world on Twitter.
And let's be real. What's
It's
the fuck?
fucking amazing.
What matters more, presidential elections or ethics in gaming journalism? I think the answer is clear.
Hippo, surely you, a British person, must care deeply about the United States presidential election. Surely you must be on my side
Well, hang on. It's kind of hard. Like, I'm kind of torn because on the one hand, I am American, but on the other
Indeed.
hand, I love Sargon of Akkad. So
He's relevant to both of these, really.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait,
Fellow
Ben.
Brit.
Yeah, I hope you realize that you're fighting in the leagues of Sargon of Akkad when you choose
Yeah.
Gamergate.
When are you guys going to collab? I've been waiting for
Well,
that for
let's be
years.
clear here. I'm not even saying that I'm pro the movement of Gamergate. I'm just saying that the swirling vortex, like the war. That's like saying I like the Civil
really-
War. Just might mean that I love the South or the Union. I'm just saying the battle is where it's at. It is the most powerful force I've ever
right.
witnessed.
You're saying
Alright,
you're
so-
saying that we're the real winners.
Exactly.
So basically, there's four sides here. You could be for or against Gamergate, or for or against Hillary or Trump.
True,
But-
but I
and
don't
then
take a position on any of those. I'm
yeah,
just saying
no,
the battles.
it's all
All right,
about
six
which is
positions.
better.
No, there's two positions. Do you like Gamergate as a thing more, including all the battles and all the sides and everyone
Well,
involved,
all right.
or do you like that in
I
reference to the
gotta be,
2016
more
I gotta be
powerful.
honest. I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
like in a real way, like in a what YouTube videos I watched about the thing, like I didn't
only
give
thing
a
that matters.
fuck about Gamergate. I heard about it and I was like,
Oh.
everyone.
Dude, you missed
come
out on a
on.
dumpster fire, dude. It was great.
The only
we were
video I ever
hearing about
watched
Gamergate
about
for like an
Gamer-
entire year afterwards.
Yeah.
the
Like it
only
was
thing-
still in the news. It never fully went away, and like it
They're
was
still
months
talking
before I
about it.
actually
All
All right,
asked, like,
still
what
on.
is
let's
this
give him finish
Gamergate
his
thing
point.
that I
Let
keep
him finish
hearing
his
about?
point.
The only video I watched about Gamergate was Endlet G's video about about everybody talking about Gamergate, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger saying "shut up," and I was like, you know what? I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I approve that. And then the fucking the presidential thing. It was legitimately more interesting to watch videos about that because there was more at stake. Like there was more
See-
that was gonna happen.
See, this is what you can
Because
expect from a fucking gamer girl wearing
as a
in.
hardcore gamer girl, that
Yeah.
nothing bad will ever happen to me, whether or not Gamergate or gaming. Because I don't care about gaming journalism. I don't care about gamers. I don't care about modern games. I don't care about anything gaming related. In fact, I hate video games. So
Yeah.
Gamergate itself was like there wasn't much of
Okay.
a big thing that was affecting my life. But Donald Trump, he's my dad. It's really important to me. And I do love Minecraft. Oh boy, do I love Minecraft. So,
even though I'm on the
You're making a
side
lot of sense right
of
now.
Drumpf and all of his pals and friends that we'll get into
Mm-hmm.
soon enough, I can't deny the sheer wealth of inspiration that Gamergate has given me. I'm truly thankful for it. But it's like a friend that's been mutated and have to put out of its fucking misery. It's time for the Gamergate to end and for the Drumps to rule for all of time. It's time to get rid of the old ideas and move on on from the past and enter a new smoldering era of Donald Trump being the god leader of the world.
We now have the luxury to look back at both of these events that are in the history books, and we can just assess them calmly, like saying, what was better? The rape of Nanking or the second rape of Nanking.
Yeah.
I mean, they both had their strengths. We both really like them, but, one may have just had more drama, more action, more romance. Some of those rapes were
more of a
pretty
compelling
heartfelt.
Emotional through line.
Yeah.
Indeed. And
These
yeah,
are the
character
kind of things that
Which
we
rapes were
internet
more
intellectuals have to concern ourselves with.
Indeed. Which rapes were slightly more consensual than the
Yeah,
other rapes.
Which one had more character development?
Indeed.
I mean, the second rape of Nanking, they were expecting it, and some of them didn't even say no that time. So is it really rape? You don't know.
Yeah, that's the question we have to answer. Look inside, everyone.
I think we should both have opening statements, and I
agree.
I have one prepared.
Please
would you guys
do.
like to go first?
No, you go
Okay.
first, please.
The thing that I like about the 2016 presidential election is the themes of friendship and unity. Despite all the shifting web of alliances, when our main character Donald finally claimed his throne at the end of the tournament, neither friend nor foe could remain dry-eyed. His charisma, flair, and bolstering speeches served as a rallying call for the entire cast, no, the entire world, to put aside petty differences and work together. Even though they may not seem eye to eye on everything, Donald and Hillary, the original Goku and Vegeta, will unite when the world needs them most. And I just find that theme of unity inspiring. I think that's something that Gamergate lacks.
Look, the union of Hillary and Trump was directly inspired and influenced by the union of Quinn and Sarkeesian. They were the original.
Those
they
are
were like
on one side. You don't have the representation. There's no
Yeah.
themes of unity. There's no bridging of cultural divides there. That's bland.
No. You got this all wrong. You gotta understand what Gamergate. You're not red-pilled enough to truly understand the implications of Gamergate beyond the bullshit narrative mainstream media has force-fed you, and you've swallowed hook, line, and sinker. Gamergate was not just about ethics and gaming journalism. That was just the rallying cry that started the beginning of the first battle, but the war that continues to this day is about red-pilled motherfuckers resisting the social justice bullshit
wrong.
that is encroaching
He's not
upon
wrong.
all of culture. Okay, Gamergate began with this one bullshit idea of some slut sleeping around with a bunch of journalists so they'd cover her shitty game, and that was bullshit. But it was the reaction to that outrage that sparked a bigger, massive culture war of all of these fucking psychopathic, Ben Saintian, blue-pilled motherfuckers coming into the gaming sphere.
I'm glad you brought that up, Tom, because I'd like to touch on that. See, one of my favorite things about Gamergate was that in the fallout of it directed our attention to that cultural touchstone that's redefined games and game journalism to this day. Depression Quest, the greatest
yes.
indie game ever made.
Okay.
And I just want to say thank you, whatever your name was.
Don't you
Zoe
actually kind
Quinn,
of like
yes.
that game? I'm just
What?
checking. I thought you actually kind of liked that game.
Oh,
Did
I
you
do.
actually
No,
play
I
it?
actually think it's pretty good.
Right,
But it's
yeah,
pretty
okay,
funny
okay.
because like it's kind of nothing. Like
Right.
it's about as minimal as a game can possibly be, and it's really funny that it's like a big important part of the cultural fucking quagmire that is Gamergate.
It sure was, and of course that's only the first volley
Right.
was
That's
about
just
that,
the first
and then things
part of
branched
that.
out.
And of course, isn't it just like a woman that have their product can't stand on its own merits? It has to be bolstered by some bullshit drama and sexual favors. Of course, of course.
Well,
But
that's the question.
Naturally.
Depression Quest is just a small part in the bigger picture of why Gamergate is so important. Because in response, we learned that there was an underlying meta narrative going on, not only in gaming journalism, but in like all of this kind of like internet web 2.0 connected discussions on culture and nerd culture in general. And they were all collaborating and forming narratives and all this shit. And that's when people were just like, no, fuck this shit. We're getting all simultaneously red-pilled. We're not doing this shit anymore. And all these other mediums like film and comic books have fallen to this social justice crap where we have to fucking change all this shit for no reason, alienate our users, and now Disney is in the fucking red and Marvel Comics is blowing to shit because all their fucking comic books suck now and even retailers hate them. But no, there was these fucking god tier Dorito dust encrusted red pilled motherfuckers who said, no, not our video games, not our low poly polygonal tits. This is our space and we're keeping it. We want our waifus and we will die for them. And that's why they're all heroes. This is our safe space.
You can't take this away from us. What else? Where will we turn?
It was the rise. It was the rise of a class of internet aristocrats, if you will.
I'm seeing the parallels here. I'm seeing how what happened at Gamergate went on to influence the 2016 presidential election.
It was the same sort
of
people who were battling back against this narrative of just culture, political correctness, and just blue-pilled beta bullshit, and they were like, no, enough of that.
Yeah, I'm
going to stay in my basement and play video games like a man.
Yeah. So similar, like the one led to the other, you could say. In that way, we're really dealing with the original and the sequel. And
well, that's exactly
true.
Well, think about it. All these people who love Doritos and Mountain Dew, who better to lead them than a human Dorito?
Fair enough. Okay. All right,
I don't know what I was saying. Something sequel, something...
well, the original's always better.
Builds
ipso
upon
facto,
the original. No, it builds upon it. It improves all the gameplay and creates a more cohesive, expanded experience. Gamergate
no, that never happens. That has never once happened, and it never will.
Ratchet & Clank 2 is better than Ratchet & Clank 1. I'm just going to say it.
There isn't even a Ratchet & Clank 2.
So Donald Trump is Ratchet & Clank 2.
Gamergate is too black and white, with those vile Twitter users and Not Your Shield puppets acting as cartoonish, over-the-top villains with no nuance or moral ambiguity, wherein the 2USPE an actually layered narrative. Each character has complex morals and arcs, expertly woven into a dense with characters you can actually sympathize in, while still finding flaws in. The narrative invites you to be an active participant, judging each opponent Donald meets as just another slab of meat for him to defile, like in Gamergate, but a fully realized character with deep thoughts and bigger feelings. Gamergate is just too fucking black and white and baby shit. The sequel of the United States presidential election has expanded upon the values and framework of that once that like too big bloated of a narrative of Gamergate. And concise it down to a mirror shine.
Here's where I disagree on that point. I understand the point you're saying of the greater nuance, but what I would argue is that, okay, well, these two movements are different crystallizations of the same like underlying
it's like
feeling.
Mother 1 versus Mother 2. They're like the same thing, but like one's obviously superior because it has better graphics.
Incorrect, and the reason why is because while it's true, the sequel does expand on more diverse themes. The first one, I would argue, is superior for coalescing on one singular point, a much narrower, tighter focus. It is the Gurren Lagann to the election's Kill La Kill.
Gamergate was the more ambitious project, I think.
More ambitious?
No, how could you argue that?
More of an upstart that nobody expected to get as heroic as it turned out to be in the end. It is.
Oh yeah, in that way, it's really just sort of like Star Wars Episode 1, and then Empire Strikes Back. You know, Empire Strikes Back is better. You may not think so, but it is.
The presidential election can't be the Empire Strikes Back because in the Empire Strikes
win.
Back, the evil person gets
wins.
The upper hand.
Yeah, that's right.
All right,
that's right.
And we all know that the presidential election ended with a sweeping victory for the forces of good.
Yeah. So I can't believe you would say that the presidential election does not have a broader scope than Gamergate.
No, I'm saying it does have a broader scope, and that's why.
On the face of the earth and in the universe.
I think that the presidential election is too obvious. It was too obvious a direction for the sequel to go into.
The presidential election had an ending.
That's like when Jason
no
went
one
to
even
space.
knew there was
It's
going to
like,
be another election. Obama was going to be king forever. No one knew.
The problem is that the election is like when a JRPG predictably makes the plot eventually about killing God. Everyone knows that's what's going to happen, and it's boring.
The problem with the presidential election at the ending was a direct ripoff of the end of the first Star Wars movie, because they're like, just like at the end of Star Wars when they're trying to go through the tunnel run of the Death Star, you have this really high intensity end action sequence, which is the night of the election, when everything's really stressed out, and you think that the villain's gonna win, and just like Han Solo comes in and fucking blows up Darth Vader's TIE fighter, the Electoral College comes in and clears the way for Trump to blow up the Hillary Death Star.
Yeah.
It's the exact same fucking ending.
Look, and I'll
in a
give you one
Super
other.
Bowl.
There's one other problem with this, and is that I do not believe that Trump was competent enough to actually win that thing. I find that that was you could really feel the hand of the author at work there.
Yeah,
the Heavenly Father.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. I just it seemed like an obvious place to go from the. It was too obvious, and I didn't buy the execution.
The character didn't
and it
earn
really
it.
strained my suspension of disbelief.
Exactly.
The Gamergate, also known as the prequel trilogy, it just had the romance story in that. It wasn't convincing. The Zoe Quinn thing. I just didn't believe these characters.
She literally fucked 5 guys. There's more romance than the entirety of the election, where there was 0 sex.
No,
come on.
Did you not see the Hillary Trump sex tape?
I will agree, having the only real gameplay in the 2016 election being like at the very end, and you just choose a choice, like, and you just vote, and depending on what you vote, the outcome is different. I will admit that that's pretty lame, especially when we all know who is really going to win in canon, and having the Hillary side be non-canon is kind of a cop-out
arguing for
move.
here? You're arguing for more Last of Us style gameplay.
Yeah,
you want to
exactly.
You want to watch a movie. I'm arguing for actual hands-on Gesamt Kutzvert gameplay, like in Gamergate, where you can make your own Twitter and start shitposting and actually hurt people's feelings in real life.
Nate, I agree with you that Gamergate is more powerful, but I feel like you're doing a disservice to the narrative structure of the presidential election, because you're talking about how Donald Trump is a character that didn't earn anything, but you need to understand that Donald Trump isn't the he's not the protagonist, he's not the antagonist, he's just an avatar for the true antagonist, which was all of us. The real villain in the story, the real villain in the story arc was Hillary Clinton herself, okay? And it was the Democratic Party, because they were their own undoing. Their ignorance of the social conditions around them, and the fact that they completely fucked up multiple times and completely misread all the conditions in the country. It was the story and the nuance of the presidential election wasn't so much the fact that Donald Trump was able to succeed, but it was the fact that the Democratic Party was so uninformed of their own standings in culture, society, to watch them fail, to watch that ego completely crush their ambitions. That is the delicious pathos in that story.
I will happily concede, there is no question, the finale of the election, the final act, is among the most amazing, mind-blistering things that has ever happened in any narrative I've had the pleasure to consume. Happy to admit it. But nonetheless, I still think that minute for minute, pound for pound, we're looking at a less satisfying package overall.
Hang on.
Okay.
Gamergate does have some good acts. Act 5, Act 2 is probably my favorite of Gamergate.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But it still has Act 6, which is just a slug. It just goes off in the wrong direction.
Act 6 is the election.
Down.
That's the slug. That's the
no,
slug.
No, Nate, you completely misunderstand. The presidential 2016 election has what Gamergate could never have: a clear narrative arc, a beginning, middle, and end that Gamergate lacks. Gamergate is still technically going on. It never ended. It just sort of petered out. The author stopped updating it. And sure, you can say he wanted to stop it while it was good, and he felt that if he kept doing, he couldn't make a fulfilling ending. But that's what the presidential election has. It has a clear, concise, incredible ending.
If Gamergate is still going on, then all that means is that the presidential election was an act of Gamergate.
Exactly.
No,
it's just part of it.
No,
Gamergate is the world we live in.
It's a spin-off series.
It's not a spin-off. It's just a part of it.
It's a spiritual sequel. It's a soft reboot.
Yeah,
it's distinct.
It only has some references to Gamergate. It doesn't fall back on its shoulders. It's not completely reliant on it. It takes the ideas of Gamergate and twists it in a new, interesting, modern way that builds upon what the original started. It's a
I don't know what that was. Was that like some Coney speak?
That's a Gesamt Kutzberg. Well, Go on, please.
I just think the real nail in the fucking coffin here that you cannot even try and argue against when it comes to Gamergate versus the United States presidential election is the wealth of interesting, unique characters on the roster in the 2016 presidential election is
All the characters
staggering. These vivid personalities clash and play off each other, and it deeply immerses me within the setting.
Look,
I
I
can
hear what you're
really
saying.
buy the rivalries and alliances. It feels
exactly the
real.
problem. That's
Contrast
exactly
this
the
with the
problem.
Gamergate characters, which are all bland,
There were so
uninteresting,
many-
flat,
there were
that
so
don't
many
make
even
the
Jeb
genre
Bush-
grow.
Gamergate's characters
Jeb Bush has a really funny
Well,
meme that we
that's
still
exactly
like.
what I was gonna say. The Jeb was a fantastic character. I want his narrative to keep going, but it was cut off so suddenly. It was not right. He should have been in there till the very end.
No,
it
no,
was
you shouldn't.
unfortunate.
You're thinking too much of the Gamergate, like the Act 6 mentality of
Yeah.
Gamergate, where you just bring back all the characters.
Jeb is
Bush
the
had
car
his
cat.
arc and it ended,
Jeb
and it was
had
great.
no end. He had no end to his arc. He shouldn't
Listen,
be-
listen, just because your pet character didn't survive doesn't mean the narrative is bad, Nate.
The narrative, that's exactly what I'm saying.
Jeb Bush served his purpose. He destroyed the matriorb. That completely goes with his class spec. It makes total sense for him.
He
Just
didn't even get a
because
chance
you
to
are
go
sad
God
to see
tier.
him
We
die.
didn't get a chance to see what he could really do if he had gone God tier. It was a fucking waste of a character as the
You're-
waste of time.
you're-
It was
that was
very
the
sad.
waste of
point
an-
of Jeb
you're
as a
a waste of a
character.
fucking
Jeb's
clitoris,
entire
Nate.
narrative purpose was to demonstrate how you waste potential. He was
Oh
a
my God, of
microcosm.
course.
He was a microcosm of Hillary Clinton's own failings as well, and that's what makes it poetic.
It's like
is the fact that-
poetry.
Look, all I'm saying is that my expanded universe fan narrative about Jeb is really good, and you guys should really check it out. You should really add that to the canon. They
Look,
should
my
really
favorite,
canonize
my
it.
favorite thing about this is that there's the crossovers, all right? The way that there's like continuing stories from both of these
course.
things. Some of my favorite minor characters from Gamergate, people like Harmful Opinions and Mr. Medicare, Sargon of Akkad,
Milo
all were part of the
Yiannopoulos.
election as well.
Of course.
It was fantastic to see all these characters continue their storyline and grow
Exactly.
and expand
I
into
agree.
there. But the only reason I was invested in those characters in the first place was because they started in Gamergate. Without Gamergate to lay the
Well, that's just
foundation
flawed.
and to
That's
get
just-
me inherited in those characters, their progression as it continues in this new story would not have been nearly as impactful.
That's
Alright, Gabe, what do you
flawed,
say?
because
What do you say,
as they
Gabe?
appear in Gamergate, Milo Yiannopoulos is a flat, boring character who is simply just a bad guy. He has no nuance. Where we're in the presidential election, Milo is completely fleshed out, vivid character
Look,
who has an
Gamergate-
intense relationship
Gamergate-
with his boss.
Gamergate is not about the heroes. Those guys are fairly flat. It is about the villains. It's all about the villains. That's where the characterization
It's
lies.
about overcoming the villains because the heroes start, even though they're flat, it's because the reason that heroes in Gamergate are flat is because they have a simple, noble goal. They don't need any more definition than that. The interest in Gamergate is the way that they have this singular focus and how they, against all odds, push back against this overwhelming force
See-
that for all intents and purposes should have crushed them instantly, but it's by their will alone, like Gurren Lagann, the ability to just harness willpower and convert it into a titanic force that can combat this seemingly overpowering darkness.
See, Tom, you're sort of proving my point in that like Gamergate was just a primitive like it started the idea like it was the
It's
original.
not primitive though. It's
But it was primitive
streamlined.
because it lacked the
It's primitive
refinement.
because it lacked the refinement of the presidential election because that builds on
The
it. and
election
it
has
is
more
better.
nuance.
Like you
but
got to
the
stop
nuance
living in the past.
Also, no. The nuance is it's really they're two different kinds of stories. But the nuance that the presidential election has also means that it lacks a little bit of the focus that Gamergate had. Gamergate's core narrative was so prominent and on display that all of the energy in its arcs could go towards developing that singular plot line and really get you emotionally invested. Because the great thing about the Gamergate narrative was that the protagonist, despite being simple, was the viewer. The viewer had the same sort of investment in there. So every step forward the protagonist
me.
took, you could do the same thing. Well, then you're
you
a fucking
could.
idiot.
There's still
I
time.
That's
There's
my
still time.
argument. You're fucking gay.
The sheer beauty of the presidential election having so many various plot lines all going around one central narrative is that there's a wealth of creative potential there. There were so many different
care about
types of
potential, I
stories
care about
all woven
delivery.
into one story. And if you didn't like one, well, you can just tune in next week for the other one to take over. It was a
I
revolving
never
door
had
of
to not
intensely
tune into
interesting
Gamergate though.
characters.
Every episode was about reinforcing this singular singular plot line that I was invested in from the very beginning.
Plus, it was
All
easy
right.
to see from the beginning where it was going
Here's one
because
thing.
Hillary just got less popular in the end. It was obvious
Well,
what
all
the
right,
conclusion was going to be.
I have something to ask because I haven't read the book of Gamergate, and I've wondered whether, because some people say the book of Gamergate is better than like the live action, like
There's
the
always
real
going to be book
life.
fags.
Right.
Like, what would you say? Who has read the book of Gamergate? I can't remember.
I
mean,
wrote the
there's-
book on Gamergate. Let me tell you
get
about
out
it.
of
I couldn't get past the part where they list the lineage of Milo, like so and so beget Milo, so and so beget Steve Bannon. Like I just couldn't get past that. Just a wall of text I couldn't get past. Yeah. It was just too much for me. It was just a boring, bland piece of shit, like Gamergate the OVA. It was just a bunch of nonsense, all centered around characters that are just intensely unlikable. That's what it comes down to. You care about the characters.
The problem
in
with the
16
OVAs is they're
election.
trying to distill something that needs that like long-term ramp into something smaller, and they tried to be a lot more flashy about it, where it's the raw edge of the original Gamergate run is really what gave it a lot of its character. It made it feel real and more tangible. So trying to like inject it with this like streamlined budgeted approach never really was going to work out for it. It was a
Gamergate-
total misstep.
Gamergate really feels like a personal, like, passion project to me. Like
Exactly.
Gamergate
It was
feels
an
like it
art
was
tour.
made by one person who had a real message to send, and I
Damn
think that's
right.
why it has so much edge and it has so much like raw, emotional,
But
visceral
to anybody who
impact with the
sympathized
audience.
with that,
But
it resonated
I mean,
so
it's-
strongly.
You could say that the presidential election is more emotionally nuanced, and I think that's true. But I think there's something to be said for just like the raw expression of an emotional idea, like Gamergate is. But but I kind of think that Gamergate almost runs into the issue. It's almost a little bit of like a parable, it's kind of like a straw man argument, because like the heroes are so static. And the villains
Exactly.
are just so
It's so
are
black
just so
and white.
caricatured that it's
It's
kind of
just-
just like a morality tale. Almost,
There's
reading
just
it.
no way you can side with the villains. You obviously believe that these vile Twitter users and gamers are destroying the very foundation of society, enslaving and beating women. There's just no way you can be on their side. They're cartoonish, snidely whiplash villains. You just can't side with them. It's a black and white argument with no chance of moral or ethical dilemma. It's all just explained and spoon feed you because you're a fucking retard because you're watching Gamergate, not the vastly superior product starring my dad, Donald Trump. Who are you going to call when Donald goes Trump? No one. No one can stop Donald when he unleashes his most powerful special attack, going Trump. Where does Zoe go? Bro? She doesn't even have a dick. She can't go bro. Nothing goes with Zoe. There's an O in that word. Nothing rhymes with the O. You can't do anything with the Zoe character. She's a fucking flatline. She's nothing. What is there to her personality? Explain her personality to me. She's a girl. She likes dick in her ass. So
True.
does everyone. Girl, get
Actually,
in
She
line.
made a video game about being sad, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does it say
She
about her
wasn't.
character?
She wasn't the main antagonist. She was just the catalyst. She was just the catalyst for the conflict.
The
she pops up back
Yeah,
a couple times throughout the plot, but she's not that important to the grand narrative.
You
It's
guys
more-
are
the-
completely
the-
misunderstanding. You're
The
misrepresenting
characters
the
are
true
simple
villain.
because the true conflict in Gamergate is this clash of ideologies. It's about a conflict of ideas, not of
we
individuals.
have both. We have both.
It's about It's
You
about
know-
tackling the oligarchy, and I understand. Like, agreed. There is a similar message in the election. I agree that they are very similar in that, but it is the way that we have these avatars for those forces, like Sarkeesian. She represents the establishment and the pro-feminist agenda that is being forced upon games and gamers, and it's weaponizing their thickness against us, and we need to fight back against the thought incursion. All these provocative ideas are what's embodied in these characters, but really the true villain at the end of it is an ideological one, and it's about controlling the things that people want to play. It's controlling them with ideas that have nothing to do with the actual product or the people who want to make them. That versus the objectively heroic Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn.
Yes.
Obviously that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, like I gotta mention, like, I don't hate Gamergate. It's just that I prefer one but like Anita Sarkeesian is probably one of my favorite fictional characters I've ever seen.
She's the only character that breaks the mold that the others fall into of just being purely morally correct and just purely the good guy. All of the heroes in that story are just bland, nice girls. They all just they're Prince Charmings. They're all flat. Besides Anita, Anita's the only person with like a real past that's interesting.
She's the
how
Cersei.
she played
She's
video
the
games
Cersei
all of her
Lannister.
life and loved video games.
I
had
did
to turn
really
against
enjoy.
her kind in order to defend what was right. That was interesting. That was the only character that had that.
I really did enjoy Anita's new characters, the OVA that came out like a couple years after Gamergate. I think it was like last year, the VidCon OVA when it was her
The
versus
Bitcoin
Sargon.
OVA.
Yeah, that was the her versus Sargon OVA that came out, the VidCon one. That was really good. It was an interesting kind of delve back into her character to see how she evolved
it's
over
interesting
the years.
to witness the insanity on display of a
But
character who's so lost
to
touch
show
with
how
reality.
it was a great way
like
to say
Sargon.
like after like the big battle is done, like and tensions linger, how do these sides, now that the major conflict has kind of receded a bit, how do they interact now in their daily lives, and what happens?
Oh no.
And
It's a
it was
canvas.
I-
Okay,
guys,
go on.
Anita is Vriska. She's the Vriska
Elaborate?
of Gamergate.
She
I don't know,
does
she has
steal the
long
luck
hair.
from everyone around her. Right. She wears glasses sometimes. And
Dude,
she
that's
is
true.
Here's the thing. In Gamergate, it felt like there was a clear sense, in the beginning at least, of progress getting made. And, you know, each victory that the rebel feminists won against the tyrannical Gamergate empire felt substantial. And you felt
True.
over the course of the movies they were really making progress. But then, after the time jump, they're still fighting the same fight from 30 years ago. So it felt like there was no progress made. After
that's
they
exactly
won
the
seemingly
point.
the final
It's an
issue,
eternal
it just
struggle.
lingers on and on forever. There's no
that's-
real progress getting made. It's all frozen in time. There's
That
no
is like-
sense of real
Guys,
progression.
I can elaborate on the Vriska thing.
please.
She started off as a complete nobody, right? And she's like, you know, she's smart and she knows the correct course of action, but she's like harsh with her words. Like she doesn't pull punches and stuff.
True.
And basically through that sort of like dynamic of like putting people down because she knows best, and it's like this hard pill to swallow, but it is true and she is correct.
Yeah.
She stole the spotlight. She gained so much popularity from Gamergate and all the things surrounding it. Like she's the thief of light of Gamergate.
That's true. She's the thief of attention and money.
And she
also.
plays video games all the time. She loves
Yeah.
video games.
Yeah. That flashback sequence in all like black and white of her showing her playing games extensively and just throwing the fuck out with her Xbox in all black and white. That was a real art house scene that I appreciated. But she was the only character with a flashback like that described her in detail. She was
Exactly,
the only one
Munch.
that had nuance.
Munch, you have just made the argument. You have sealed your own doom here, because we've spent so long talking about the characters of Gamergate and the nuance. All you've got is Daddy Drumpf. That's all you've got on your team.
Fucking nigger. You don't know shit until you hear about my boy, Ted Cruz, editor of the PCP and heir to the Trump fortune. Ted Cruz is the most powerful figure you'll ever meet in your entire life. His stance inspires the fucking carnage that exists all throughout the Middle
His
East and
girth
Africa.
shakes nations. He is a
Yes.
force to be reckoned with. Right, okay.
Ted Cruz, the original Piccolo to fucking Donald Trump's Goku. He was a powerful adversary. But then when the cards were all down, he joined the fucking fight to fight for what's right and what actually matters. He was a villain turned ally in an arc that was completely legendary. The slow political mind games and maneuvering of the GOP arc, where Donald slowly siphons away the voters from Ted Cruz when it looked like he
compelling.
was ahead and for sure. That was the most interesting dynamic part of the show. Nothing in Gamergate even comes close to rivaling that arc, and I can't believe you would insinuate otherwise.
I mean, I really liked Ted Cruz, but I gotta say, when he finally admitted that his favorite pony was Applejack, that really hurt his standing in my book. I mean,
Yeah, no one good has ever liked Applejack that much. It's not.
it's very true.
Whereas Donald Trump has the objectively true opinion of having his favorite pony be Sombra.
Rarity. True, but his favorite main six is definitely Rarity, which I approve of.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
for sure. He's enlightened.
That just goes to show you how interesting all of these characters are. None of them are the same. None of them are bland. None of them are two-dimensional. The only ones that even come close are Jeb, but he's just the comic relief character. And again, it's an allegory for what Hillary Clinton will soon return to.
He's a funnier character than we've ever had before.
Yeah.
He was definitely... We could have used some... As much as I like the singular focus of Gamergate, it could use some more comic relief characters every now and then. It did...
Just to line it up.
Yeah, just... There was never...
Okay, well... You know, you're a little bit undercounting. Cause, okay, there was one thing that I'm happy to admit this was a compelling narrative as it was going on, but the mishandling of it is really what ruined the, it was a major black mark against the entire 2016 election, and we gotta bring in my boy Bernie. We gotta bring in my boy Bernie, who just got... Like, his narrative got cut off at the most interesting time. The most interesting time.
Mate,
you cannot tell me. You cannot
you
tell
don't
me.
realize the mistake you've made. You don't
Oh my
realize the
god,
mistake
no, you're
you've
totally
made, right?
wrong. You're totally wrong.
You're
Nate,
totally
on
wrong.
that.
How?
Bernie's death is basically exactly Kamina's death. So this is more of the Gurren Lagann.
That's not true. That is not true.
No. Bernie's death is the quintessential distillation of the
evil
ego
of the Democrats.
of the Democratic Party.
Yeah,
he had to die in order to make that entire arc make sense. His death was integral.
It did help facilitate a more powerful villain. That is true. That is absolutely true. And created a degree of sadness.
If
that I'm
Bernie
not sure
hadn't
would have
died
otherwise.
and had gone on to face Trump in the final episodes, it wouldn't have. The arc would not have been nearly as powerful.
Okay. Well, that's
it would have been more justified.
What you're not imagining is what could have been. Imagining the feel guy Bernie versus the Pepe Drumpf battle. That could have been the most amazing
but that
thing
would
of all
have changed
time.
the entire narrative plot of the whole show. We would have been talking about a totally different show.
Of loss of innocence. That was the ultimate display of the themes of the United States presidential election. Hillary had to see Bernie Sanders die in that most gruesome way of on-screen violence, so she could get the motivation to defeat Trump.
There is so much precedence for these long-running shonen manga, like the 2016 presidential election, to mutate and change as time goes on. And I know this is just me going out, but I think that was a major opportunity to change in a positive direction that would have facilitated a longer-term sustainability for the series.
I think the idea of corruption in the Democratic Party was a theme that was laid throughout the entire plotline for so long that to all of a sudden do a massive heel turn like that would have very much damaged all the story that had preceded
it was really definitely
Bernie had to be betrayed and killed by the Democrats in order to have the themes be relevant throughout the whole show.
I know that was the moment that I really got invested in 2016. I was turned my nose up at it, thinking it could never live up to the original. But at that moment, I was like, well, maybe there's something to this after all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's really just like you, Nate. You keep talking about people's arcs getting cut off before they're finished, but sometimes you just have to let go of good characters for the benefit of the narrative. You can't have every character live because then there's no stakes.
Yeah, we could talk about all the good things that could happen if Kamina stayed alive. But he did.
For example, is the greatest narrative turn of all time. It was the exact right thing to do. So
the same way Bernie's death was the best thing for the narrative.
It's not the same. But
I'll speak for myself. Bernie's death didn't really hit me until I saw the next episode and he wasn't in the OP anymore. That almost moved me to fucking tears. That was the most. That was Guhun.
Well, okay. I just want to say for my own peace of mind that the reason why it's not the same is because the death of Kamina led to so much good and inspired so many people. The death of Bernie led to only sadness. So I'm just making a distinction there. There is a difference here.
I think you're right. I think that it was tonally it was different for sure. But I think in terms of serving the narrative, both were very well timed.
And
reinforced their own themes effectively.
How else would we be intimidated by Hillary? In order to believe her as a real, understandable antagonist, we have to see her do villainous things. We have to see on screen the villain
and
that she's committing.
The fact that they
stuff was all off screen. We needed to see her do some on screen PG-13
and the fact
violence.
that they waited, they didn't just immediately show that it was Hillary who was responsible for Bernie's death, but they kept it in the back of the episodes for a while and then revealed it later was really a good way because it kept you thinking for a while of how did this happen, and then when they finally revealed it, it just made the ending so much more potent.
Yeah. Exactly. It just goes to show the mastery of long foreign narrative on display here in the 2016 presidential election. They planned ahead. They didn't start. Gamergate just started with a pen against paper. They had no plan. It had wonky pacing and disjointed arcs. The presidential election was planned out from the very beginning. It was an auteur working on this masterpiece. Paced fucking concisely and down to a sharp
No, whoa,
point.
okay, stop. That's wrong. Okay, what I was about to say, the point I'm trying to get to right now is that these moments may all be as amazing as you say. They may be that good, but what you're not considering is the pacing of the story, because the pacing was terrible. There were high points for sure, but considering how long this thing was, how drawn out it was, the high points, and the fact that you weren't engaged yourself, because again, very cinematic based game, not a lot of actual gameplay going on here. Considering that, what a slog this was. I remember days going by as I'm playing, quote unquote, playing this game, and just wasting away at no new information coming to me. And this is not the typical grind, because again, non-interactive. This is a walking election simulator. It was very, very, very uneventful at those times, and you can't tell me that makes it stronger pound for pound.
The fucking pathos of the final week of the election was the most intense I've ever felt in my entire life. My nerves flew out of my fucking body and shredded my skin to the point where I was just a skeleton, eyes transfixed on the television. All of the narrative arcs tying back together, flowing into one another. Hillary's emails coming up again. Trump finding out that he actually had another secret wife. That was all incredible. All of this tying in from the very beginning, built up while still being new and refreshed. They didn't feel like it came out of nowhere. It felt natural for the narrative to evolve this way, and it took the narrative to the heights it never saw before. It introduced so many various different things. Hillary becoming sick, almost dying on screen. What a major turn that must have been. I really thought she was going to die of pneumonia. I really thought that, and to see her come back was insane. All of these curveballs, you didn't know what was going to happen. It felt like all of narrative was falling apart. It was finally, when Donald Trump won the election, he broke free of the narrative and escaped this narrative into the next one. It was a narrative unlike, and it was a meta narrative that I'm so glad I got to see come out update by update. Sure, we can all read Gamergate archivally, but we
I
got
will
to
say
see this
though
one
that the
come out. We got
epilogue
to see the
to the
fandom.
2016 presidential election has been really underwhelming so far, and has really soured me on a lot of the developments that I liked during the story at the time.
Considering all this arc this arc that you love so much about how good it was to expose the villainy of the Democratic Party, no change has happened. They've done nothing with this arc. It's the same shit all over again.
I think
Where
that's
are we going
really the
with
biggest
that?
problem with the presidential election was the fact that, again, the whole point of the arc was to show this just like huge ego problem and just like the undermining of the Democratic Party. So once they've undone themselves, all we're left with is Trump, who by himself, he's only as good as the antagonist he's facing.
True.
So when he doesn't have an antagonist and is put into a position of power, we're left wanting at that point.
I mean, yeah, but that's why, after he got sworn in, Hillary took it back, and now, she's in charge.
That's right.
So it's like there's still a back and forth going.
Can any character be a good character in a vacuum? No, of course not. Every character in a narrative relies on the characters around it. That's what a character is.
I was really interested in, and I was really hopeful for a while there. It seemed like North Korea might be a really good antagonist for Trump. That's true. To bring some of the excitement back, but that kind of petered out, and I was very disappointed by that.
I will agree that this sequel is really not living up to the hype of the original, but that
but we're not really talking about the sequel.
The original is
that's
a complete
that's fair.
package.
I'm willing to grant you that. But considering they are building up to something else, it's something to keep in mind.
It's definitely taking issue, but I will grant that the season finale of the 2016 election is one of the best finales of all time.
But I'll make the same case that I make for One Piece. Gamergate is something that lives with me as I live and breathe every day.
True.
Every day I think about Gamergate. Every day I think about my hero Anita and those scoundrels on the other side, and also the opposite of that. Because I am everyone in this story. I feel every side of this tale. It's the most compelling thing
The fucking final election night of the 2016 presidential election will stick with me. It is seared into my fucking mind. The arc of Donald Trump trying to go back and fix all of the mistakes he made, going back to specific moments in time and then retconning them to be different, that was incredible. Not to mention the grand finale when all the voters vote and you get to finally do your first interactive part of this entire 16-hour game.
When you
get
go
to
back,
vote for who you want.
when you go back and you watch the 20.
And then the musical kicks in, and you see Donald see all of his old memories, and he gets his wings live on air. That was my favorite part of the entire show. It felt like it was all building up to it. He earned that spot as the presidential president.
I gotcha, but going back and watching that series over again, knowing what the ending is, completely takes the wind out of its sails. There's no drama. There's no clash of ideology here beyond who's gonna win. It's just it's all by the numbers.
Gamergate's definitely more replayable just because it's a conflict that still isn't resolved, so you can go back and experience it.
Exactly.
It's not as played out.
I've got to plug something because I've not been like that good at explaining, but there was this one analysis video that I really liked about the presidential election by Max Landis. Politics isn't politics. If you watch that, you'll understand a lot better how like this how
they shape this narrative
arguments.
And whatnot. They're fucking they're memeing us hardcore.
It's kind of like wrestling, basically.
I gotcha. I don't know, man. I just go on.
I will admit that I'm aware of the faults of the presidential election. It got slammed by critics, most notably human impersonator John Green, John Oliver, notably called out the lack of diversity and the slippery controls, aka unreliable media brainwashing. But you can't deny that the presidential election is a real crowd pleaser. Donald Trump won the popular vote. He had the popular backing. This is a crowd pleaser. And it doesn't matter if it's popcorn entertainment. That's important to human society. It's important to have things that you can just relax to and be stimulated by intellectually. Just because bigwig Washington critics don't like it doesn't mean that the people can't.
Well, okay, at the end of the day, it comes down to the old question. What is more valuable overall? Is it going to be the sort of Star Warsian story that everyone's obsessed with and everyone's talking about, but ultimately doesn't leave that much of an impression? I'm talking about the new Star Wars. Or is it going to be those small niche projects that have a core audience that it resonates with so powerfully? Which of those two is gonna have the bigger impact, is gonna stand the test of time better? We'll just have to see. We will just have to see.
I think we've both put on great arguments here. I think we've both put out the best of the best, and I think we've really shown what Gamergate and the United States presidential election can do. I believe with all my heart, when worse comes to worse, and these two things clash, when it comes down to a battle, the battle of Hastings, when Donald Trump rides out on his white horse to face Anita, these two legendary protagonists will fight once and for all.
Oh yeah,
when they
Anita
lead their
2020
army,
is going to be pretty good.
Yeah. That will be incredible, and I'll be so excited to see that. And I think with all the wealth of personalities, Donald Trump has a black person on his team. A black person. He's a doctor. There's no way he's not going to fucking kill every girl that he meets.
My dude, if you want to, the trannies we've got on our team for Gamergate cannot be challenged in a fair fight on any grounds. They are unquestionable, perfect authorities. They have no vulnerabilities whatsoever. They are unbeatable.
Ted Cruz's dexterity with a scythe cannot be understated. He will slice and dice the competition. You have not seen Ted Cruz unleash his maximum potential with that fucking Reaper's blade. He can move it so fast you won't be able to fucking see it coming towards your fucking neck.
Listen, I'm
chop your fucking head off before you even speak.
I'm happy to admit that Gamergate is the clear underdog in this story. It's got a smaller scope. It's got a tighter focus, I would argue. It's got a more thinner cast of characters, but the ideas behind it, I would argue, any day will stand up supremely against any opposition that this sham of an election could throw at it. By the way,
agree.
the Russians literally controlled the whole thing, so it's all throughout the window. It doesn't even matter. It's a joke, not real.
That's
there you
fucking
go.
Fanon.
That's
That's
just
the problem
the
today.
author,
You're
dude.
confusing Fanon and canon.
No,
you
I
need
would
to
never
fucking
do
get
that.
your facts straight. Just because you played into the fucking Fanon narrative and characterization of Jeb,
Look,
you need to look at how he appears in the narrative and what he appears
This is what happens
in
when you watch
contemplate-
too much election theory.
I've
on
played.
YouTube.
I've applied a lot of mods to my copy of the game. I'm happy to admit it. Nonetheless, though, I still think there's enough developer science, enough developer commentary has hinted that might be the case that I'm willing to call it a strong fact. And that's it. And that's the end of my argument.
I just think when it comes down to it, when worst comes worst, when push comes to shove, there's just no one that can stop Donald Trump in a one-on-one mano-a-mano duel. There's just no one can do it. Which one of you fucking lowly cowards from Gamergate can stop Donald Trump? No one.
It's Gamergate has a larger focus on a cast of characters. It's like being mad that Magnolia doesn't have any one character that's like the greatest character of all time. When it's about the cast, goddammit. It's about the cast, and you've got to accept that. And you've got to combine all the characters from all of them, all their narratives, and it's a sum total. You can't just pull out one piece and say, because you don't match me on this, which I will admit. No character in Gamergate stands up to the force that is Trump, that is, on his own.
Would you guys agree with me on my takeaway here is that Gamergate is like the smaller like auteur piece and the 2016 election is like the more highly produced higher it's popcorn entertainment.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I mean, at
The
the end of the
AAA.
day, it really does come down to personal preference of what kind of narrative you prefer, because they're definitely trying to accomplish different things.
That's right.
So
Same message, same core ideals, but a different package, a different audience they're trying to reach with different ways.
It's really just a difference of the artist just growing and evolving and becoming a better person. The 2016 election just again builds on what the original did, and it does it in a more dense and long form fashion. It has both density, intellectual ideas that the Gamergate had, but also a broader story. It's just more equals more. There's just more to sink your teeth into, and it goes on for longer. It still retains the legendary pacing and execution that Gamergate has.
Would you call more equals more? I call too many words. There's just too many words in that story. You got to cut out some of those words. I don't even care which. Just get rid of some of them, and we'd have a tighter story on our hands. I think that's really my ultimate criticism here.
I think my criticism is that you're a punk-ass fucking bitch, and I'll beat you up after school, you dumbass nigger.
Hey guys, this is the best guy ever
He's
here.
got you there.
For Gamergate, yeah. You're not wrong. Well, I feel like we've basically just made our closing statements with these wrap-up points.
I think this is probably the most succinct and powerful discussion on this topic ever recorded.
Agreed.
We've done our due diligence here.
I just want to say that the presidential election has left such a profound effect on me, I can hardly even articulate it. This was the narrative that brought me into this world, and it's the narrative that will take me out. It will be the last like frame of animation I see before my character goes black, and I go hollow, and I leave this fucking realm. I will see Trump's face, and I will know that I made a good choice being a fan of this show.
Well said.
I think that's all there is to say on the matter. Get fucked, gamers. Die.
Yeah, go home, gamer boys.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys underestimate the spirit of the gamer. They're too powerful. This audience is small, but ever growing and ever hungry for another lamb to be thrown into its maw.
Quick final question: who's the bigger gamer, Trump or Hillary?
It's hard to say.
Who would win in a who would top 5 in a Smash tourney?
As always, it depends on how you define game, because my Queen Hillary slays at the mobile game market. She is the top-ranked Pokemon Go player. So if you include the mobile game sphere in here, then
that's true.
I feel like Donald Trump could like lift an Xbox over his head, and I don't know if
Impossible.
Hillary can do that.
No one has done that in recorded history.
I don't know if I can't imagine Hillary lifting like an original big Xbox over her head, but I can see Trump doing that no problem.
She'll
I mean,
lift
I
the
think I think Trump's probably pretty good when it comes to like Call of Duty and stuff. Considering he's clearly sponsored by Doritos, so he must
That's
have
true.
a lot of. He gets all that double XP, so he probably buys his way to victory, like you would expect Trump to.
Hashtag dump the drump. Hashtag slay queen.
Donald Trump hires Russian hackers to help him get exploits in CS:GO in order to climb to the ranks to get global elite. That's the real narrative. Like the behind the scenes narrative is Donald Trump has to get global elite, so he hires Russian hackers. That's what the big fan theory was all leading up to, which is the fact it's not like he was trying to hack the election. He was trying to hack RuneScape.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
that's
I
probably
mean, I
true.
can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
That's been a theory going around
100%.
for a while. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reason to believe that.
We should mention the fandom for each. The fandom for the 2016 presidential election is
it's a
far bigger and
nightmare.
turns out massive content. Every single day there's a new Trump edit. There's a new funny TV show that comes out directly
right.
comparing and talking about the 16 election. It's such a powerhouse of content that you can't argue that it's
They've
better.
got the quantity
I mean,
on their side, but it's plagued by normie memes. So many normie memes.
True.
Yeah, there's too many. It reminds me too much of the brony community, and I don't know. Like I like the show, but the community is a bit.
I mean,
try to
okay, but
ignore it,
basically,
honestly.
the 2016 election fans are the bronies of the world, while the Gamergaters are literally the Rick and Morty fans of the world. And I
Yeah.
think you know who's
And-
going to win
and no
this
one has a
fucking
problem with
throwdown.
them.
No one has a problem with them.
No,
That's right.
never.
That's right.
Well, I
Not a
think we've said
single
all
one.
that there even could be to say on the topic. I
think so.
Honestly, after releases, I don't think we're gonna hear a peep out of either of those topics for basically as long as we live. Because
think so.
what else could they say? What else could they say?
If they respect art in the least, then they will stop immediately when this
Yeah.
this graces the planet.
Consider this if you even think about either of these shows, consider this a cease and desist. Do not think about either of these shows or topics for the rest of your fucking life, or you're banned, and we will personally unpatron you and not refund you.
We've done it all for you, and if
Yeah.
you don't, if you continue, you're just spitting right in our faces.
Yeah.
You're just
If you
thumbing
respect
your
the
nose at the work
PCP,
we've done here
you
today.
won't recognize the United States presidential election ever again.
What you need to do at this point, every time you have a thought and you want to express it on either of these topics,
Consult
instead,
us first and pay us so we can,
Yeah.
we can mandate
Instead,
it, please.
have the thought, put the thought away, go to Patreon, give us an extra $1, and then just re-listen to this episode because we've already said it.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Here's what you do. When you have a thought, you are a thought. Get fucked. Die.
Indeed. Very true. All right. I mean, I guess I don't even feel like we should decide who's the winner here. I feel like it's
No.
too subjective, and we should just leave it up to the audience. To maybe we should. Should we have a vote? Should we have a poll going for this episode?
Maybe. I mean, I
Yeah, we
honestly
should
just
have a
feel-
poll. Who was the plebe and who was the weeb?
I don't want to poll. Honestly, I don't want to
No?
know who's the
Yeah,
winner.
because
Okay,
there's no
okay.
way. Like we've already proven that. I mean, that was the whole point of the 2016
whole-
election is that democracies don't work. That would just
That's
be
true.
pointless to
The
have
last
a vote.
thing we need is the Russians hacking our straw poll.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
not wrong. Okay, we just got to leave it up. Everybody got to interpret this for yourselves. You got to do a little brain work yourself and just untangle this mess in your own head.
Much like you had to do with the 16 presidential election 2016.
Indeed.
You have to be an active participant and decide which one's better for yourself.
It would be a disservice
Exactly.
to sully both of these stories with such a binary choice.
But do not forget the intense, riveting gameplay of Gamergate. Never forget you typing in your first. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, the gameplay. Yeah, fucking right. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that in Crash Bandicoot 2. Yeah, nice fucking ripoff. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you just had to bring up the gameplay over and over again. I played that game fucking 15 times over. It's the most unoriginal, uninspired piece of shit I've ever played.
Low skill floor, high skill ceiling. That's really all there is to say about it. I think I'll leave it at that. Well, that's it. We got some questions. Undertale.
Oh, we have to.
That's the
we have to go.
transition
We have to
noise.
We have to go.
You have to go?
No,
are we done?
He said Undertale. We have to leave.
Oh, yeah, it's over. But before we leave, let's answer this one question from the bonus lounge. Hey, thanks for giving us money, guys. And here's your questions. This is a good one. I like this one a lot. Cygres asks, stories of peeing yourself? I've got one. Look, let me just tell you this little anecdote. Let me just tell you this hilarious little story. It was like 4th grade or something, and I was just in school, and I had to pee real bad, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I need to pee that bad. So I kind of like relaxed a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. I
immediately
ungelted.
peed.
I mean, I definitely pissed myself just a little bit, and immediately clenched again, if you know what I mean. And so, I'm just standing there.
Because once you break the seal, it's hard.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I should be saluted.
yeah.
I should be saluted for what I've done. And as I'm standing there, with a bit of pee just in me and on me. Just a bit. I'm standing there just doing something. My Nick, this guy in my class, just looks over at me and just says, "What smells like urine?" And I just say, "No idea, my dude." And no one was the wiser. No one was the wiser until you, fair viewer, have found out on this podcast.
Wait,
That's a true story.
How much pee came out for it to be
I mean,
stench of pee?
He could detect the pee.
Why immediately did it smell like roadkill urine? Why?
Well,
what does your pee smell like?
I don't know, man. But he could detect. He had a sniffer of a basset hound or a bloodhound or something. He was up in there.
Piss hound, more like it.
He was a piss hound, all right. That's the story of me peeing myself.
I have a story of me peeing myself. One time I was on this really boring podcast that I was just
no.
yawning through fucking day in, day
no.
out. And it was just so fucking, I couldn't stand it. It just felt like we were doing the same things over and over again with no real narrative or stakes to it. And it just felt like, there's just, I just have to let loose sometimes,
Oh,
I
no.
just have to let
No,
it go.
no,
I just have to start going.
No!
I just have to let her rip. You know what I'm saying? I just have
Let's
to
slip the
mix
dogs
things up.
of
I just
war.
can't rely on the same tropes over and over again. No! I have to spice up the podcast once in a while. I have to turn it at the clock.
What are you peeing into?
I have to reclaim
What
the
are
lost
you
territory of
peeing
our
into?
ancestors. And I
It's a
have to
cup. What else
reinstate
is it?
law and order.
Is it a bottle? Is it a cup? Is it a water? I don't know. For some
is
reason, I'm
it?
That's for
concerned
you to
about
decide,
this.
dear viewer. That's the vote.
I'm trying to tell by the sound. Oh God, no.
I couldn't hear a thing because you two were screaming. So
I could hear.
As far as I'm concerned, it's not gross at all.
Well, you're welcome for that then. You're welcome. Oh no.
I have one
What
story about
smells like
peeing
urine
myself.
in here?
Go on.
Walking home, it used to be at school. My mom would come pick me up, and then I would go.
And then you would piss yourself.
But then, in the car every single time.
Yeah.
No, but then I decided, I felt like I was old enough to walk home, and it was like 20 minutes walk. And I think the first time I tried it, I didn't properly gauge how
Yeah.
long it would take. And I was halfway home, and I was like, I need to pee right now. And I didn't know what to do. I was
no.
like, technically I could go knock on some stranger's house and say, I gotta pee. But I didn't, because that's gross and weird, and I'm not gonna do that. So I just ran. I started running. I started jogging because I didn't want people to look at me. So I started jogging a bit, but that was sort of like agitating the
that'll do
bladder.
it.
So I was like, okay, I can't jog. Well, I got to like maths in my head, like the amount of which my running will get me there faster, but also how much it will accelerate like the process of me peeing myself. So like I was just like Da Vinci Code sort of like equations flying through my eyeballs, and I was just. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept running. I started running and sprinting. I was sprinting home. Now, interestingly, there is a secondary school kind of close to my house. I didn't go to that one because it's full of like nasty people. I didn't like them. So I went to one like 20 minutes away. But this one, it's, when I leave school, I'm walking home, and at the same time, that school is, bell rings, all the students come out, and then it's me, some kid from another school, just sprinting by, and I was so scared that they would just see me pee my pants as I was walking in front of the entire big group of them. And I thought this is not gonna go well. I have to ditch him. I have to go into an alleyway. So I jumped into an alleyway.
Nice.
And then I started peeing, and it was behind a bush, and it was all fine, except somebody was in their back garden and could see me, and I felt
no.
so terrible because they were looking out like, "Oh, are you okay?" I'm like, no." And that's my story. Luckily, I didn't actually pee myself, but I did, pee in public, and it was embarrassing.
Well,
Indeed.
you know how to pee in public and not get caught, right?
How's that?
do in
How's
the
that?
ocean.
You go up to someone's car. It doesn't have to be your own. Then just go underneath the car and start pissing. If someone comes up and is like, "Oh, this is my car," I'm like, "Oh yeah, I was just checking out your framework here. You can get checked up and yada yada," and they won't even notice that you're peeing right in front of them.
So literally pee on the car is the way to do it.
Yeah,
It's just okay.
Are you just talking about like on your back, like peeing up onto the
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
and then it sprays down onto your belly, and you're like,
You
crawl
just
out of
pee
it,
up like
covered
into
in
the.
oil
You
and
laying
dirt.
down under the car. You're just peeing up into the engine,
Yeah.
letting it like drip back down on you.
Yeah, how
slowly.
else is that sucker gonna get started?
Open up,
that's the way I've
open
been
up
doing
their
it.
gas tank, pee into the gas
Yeah.
tank.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
you know, makes sense. Makes sense. They'll never even see
what
your
a great-
dick.
Hey, people are always complaining about how they don't have girlfriends. Well, if you got a car, you got a gas hole. You got a gas hole. That's good enough for you.
You're not wrong. Lube it up with a little gasoline, and you're good to go, my friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another good question. Oh wait, did anybody else want to share a pee story? Tom or Ben? Do you have one?
I have a
I think
disappointing
we're
lack
done.
of pee stories, actually.
Okay.
You have a shit
Okay.
story, which is far worse and disgusting.
Yeah. Well, okay, but fair enough.
Yeah, that was bad. I wish I hadn't shared it,
I
but
know it's so
I
hypocritical.
guess
and I don't know
that ship
why.
has sailed.
Indeed.
I don't know why, but for some reason, like pee is just like funny to me. But the moment number 2 comes out, that's when things start to get serious.
It's because pee is like not like too like dangerous. Like you can't eat shit, but you can drink pee because it's
Yeah.
not like the
Yeah.
same sort
I
of
mean,
thing.
believe me,
It's
this
not
was
as gross.
nasty. My poop story was fucking. It was way nastier for me to experience than for you guys to hear about.
I'm
Probably
Oh, I'm
true.
sure.
Okay. Other question then. Tom, you said you didn't have one, right? I'm not
I
cutting you
know.
off.
No.
Okay. no. Oh my Fomai asks, what is the PIN number for your credit card?
101.
That's a good
Go
one.
That's
to
that's
town.
cute.
Dalmatians.
That's cute. You think I have enough money to have a credit card?
Lol.
Hilarious. You think banks would trust me with a credit card? Hilarious.
I don't know. I see people who are a lot less responsible in life than you with credit cards out there just, getting into massive debt and whatnot. They're always willing to give you more debt. They could probably
I
hook
got
you
a
up.
Reddit card.
I think they want you to
Reddit
be
card.
irresponsible.
Yeah, sign me up.
I spend like karma at the store, and they tell me to fuck off, but I steal it. Then I just steal it.
thus lowering your karma.
Yeah, true.
Am I Cool Man in the bonus lounge says, how much money do you have in your wallet? I have $6 all in nickels, exclusively in nickels.
Why?
Well, it's a long story. I don't have the time to get into it.
He's done he's done too much diming, not enough nickeling. That's what it is.
It's true. I'm counting right now. Let me see. I've got. This is funny to me. This is interesting. Okay,
I
I've
have
got
$0 in my
one
wallet.
dime. Okay, I never carry cash, but I happen. To
I
have
actually
some
have
right
like
now.
I think I might have like $60 or $70 because I took out a bunch of money for the Christmas trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Shit,
rob
Ben,
one of
you
us.
shouldn't
there.
have said
Ben.
that.
I've
You
got.
shouldn't have said that. You're gonna get mugged.
Yeah, they're
right
on their
after you
way.
record.
They're sending out the
Shit.
thief drones.
I
They're
gotta
on
hide
their
it.
way.
I gotta hide my $70.
Ben, you're just gonna open up your wallet instead of $70 is gonna be more poo, or you're like, I guess the cat got me again.
Anything but poo.
I've got $18.35. That's what I've got. Which is way more. I usually have literally zero cash.
yeah,
Yeah,
I usually have very little, but you got
I
me.
find I
The
get
fact that
straddled
paper
with
money
cash
still
around the
exists is
holidays.
disgusting.
So
It is.
It's all about the
I think we're gonna go
Dogecoin.
all electronic.
If it's not,
like,
then why did
it
I
won't be
kill
too
all those
long.
animals?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
why did I
reach
kill
inside,
all
pull out
those-
the singular
why did I-
Dogecoin in every Doge.
Yeah.
Why did I hit all those doges with
fuels them.
with a pickaxe
Yeah.
to get the doge coins hidden within?
Exactly. You can't just murder them. You have to mine them with a Minecraft pickaxe in order to
Yeah.
keep it alive.
Like,
Yeah, you gotta
imagine you
enchant
just
it
go up
first.
to a dog and start smashing it with a pickaxe, and then it falls over, erupts into a beam of light. The
Yes.
light swirls around and coalesces in your hand as you stand there doing a cool Link I just opened a chest pose, and a
Yes.
single Doge coin just coalesces in your fingers, and you hear a little jingle.
Yes, perfect. Well, that's why puppy farms are the most lucrative enterprise this side of fucking Kalamazoo. They're all
my
over the place. Maybe it's just Shiba Inu farms. Maybe it just counts with that as well. Whatever.
That's where the money's at.
That's why Japan's so rich.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
That's right.
From the same guy in the bonus lounge, McCool Man. What
Yeah.
shape best describes you? E.g., a square, a circle, isosceles triangle.
You're all a bunch of squares.
I would say
I
the
literally
Star of
described
David best
myself as
describes me.
square last night.
Wait, what was that?
I would
What?
All right.
Okay, Ben was the Star of David, as I
No,
understand it.
no, I am the Star of David.
Oh,
That's way
okay.
better than Square, actually.
The Square of David is pretty good.
Yeah, it's not
I'm
bad.
actually a dodecahedron. My Merkaba is mighty, and you shall respect it.
And Tom,
would-
Tom was saying something, right?
I would say my shape is an oval because
Okay.
I can get started moving, but I can't like keep the momentum going.
Oh, I see. He's just got an awkward kind of wobble after a while going on.
It's a metaphor
I see.
for my life.
Gib, what do you think you are?
I think I'm the shape of a knife.
Because you're
Because
edgy?
I'm edgy.
Yeah.
And I'm also
yeah.
a tool.
Checks out.
Cool. I guess I'll go with rhombus, because that was like a meme in high school or something. Rhombuses.
What a shit meme.
Yeah.
I mean,
Worse-
well, yeah.
Dude, rhombus.
No arguments here. No arguments here. I accept defeat.
Well, was that actually the meme? You just say
something.
it?
I don't know. Like rhombuses were like cool at one point. The word rhombus was liked, as I
Sure.
understand it. That's all I
Sure,
got.
yeah. I mean, it's fine
You have
and
to do the
everything.
90s
It'll do.
S. That's your shape.
Okay. Here's
cool.
one more question from Kev Ho. Asks, what games do you like that the general public hates? Anything?
Oh yes.
Undertale.
Oh, there it is. What do you got, Tom? What do you got?
There it is.
I
He knew it was
unironically super fucking enjoy DMC Devil May Cry, even though everyone hates that game. I
Oh,
love
yeah?
it.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
I feel like a lot of the criticism comes from people who haven't actually played the game. That's
Yeah,
kinda
I
what
think that's the story is trash. They changed the characters; they're
Yeah.
terrible. But the gameplay is incredibly fun, and I've actually have played that one more than any other in the series, just
Is it-
because it's like more replayable. to
Is it
me.
like the quickness of like the switch between like Devil and Angel or whatever's going on with that?
Yeah,
It
I
seems
like that
fun.
a lot.
Yeah.
It's the combo. The combat in that game is way less about like being like overtly challenging, and it's more like you can string together everything indefinitely. So if you want to
Now
just like
that's fun.
zone out and
Yeah.
just have fun, you never have to touch the ground if you're good enough. You can just stay airborne and just do combos the entire time. So it's
Excellent.
pretty cool that way.
Okay.
For me,
I don't think
Super
there
Smash
is a
Bros.
game.
Brawl. I love the story mode. Unironically,
Wait.
it's fucking Kino.
Dude, the story
Wait,
is
wait.
Kino.
People don't like that?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess.
Brawl is
Totally.
shit on for like
melee
tripping and
fags,
stuff.
melee fags hate that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who to think of as like the people who hate it, because like there's
Melee
people
fags.
who hate
In the
anything.
crowds that I generally circle, Brawl is hated and is seen as a dark
Okay,
horse.
well, I love
feel like
Brawl
Digi hates
also
it.
for the
Yeah.
story.
Also, it's got
Yeah,
Meta
'cause
Knight,
it's-
and he's so
Dude,
cool,
dude.
dude. Sonic and Mega Man.
Combination. Here's why I'm autistic and I deserve to die. I have seen the Subspace Emissary and I have played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Sky. Those two things combined have made me autistic. Those two things have made me. In my formative years, they made me roleplay. They compelled me to roleplay. They made me autistic.
No. Oh, by the way, Mega Man is not in Brawl. He's in the next one. I made a mistake. But Sonic's there. Sonic's in there.
Is
I can't think of a game that is like I feel like I have perfect taste and nothing's wrong.
That's a good
is-
way to think.
You like
Do
Ad
people
Ye?
like
Ad Ye's
Slime
your
Rancher?
favorite game.
You like
do
Sonic
people
Shadow
like
the
Slime
Hedgehog?
Rancher? I feel like I've heard a lot of people be really lukewarm on it.
I watched a review that was lukewarm, but I don't know. In general, I think people think it's pretty good.
All right.
don't know.
I think that it sucks in all the ways people think it sucks. It is, like one of those shitty reward loops that just
Yeah.
repeats itself. But I don't care. I had a lot of fun with it.
By the way, Munchie, Shadow the Hedgehog is great and everyone loves it. What are you
Oh,
talking about?
that's the one. That's the one. I don't know. I'm trying to think of one. I honestly can't think of anything. Kingdom Hearts 2 is shit on by a lot of people nowadays. I mean, I don't know. I still think I like it in the way people
I feel like
it.
I feel like the threshold should be like if you were to bring it up and everyone like basically everyone would go, oh my god, no.
Yeah.
Then it's a game that people hate.
That's
Otherwise, it's
DMC.
just like something that has detractors.
There's
don't
one
know.
game that I really love for the micromanaging and I think is an expert display of skillsmanship and basically the ultimate board game, and it really tests your grit and skill and intellect as a player, but people always detract because of the moral implications. I love farming blood diamonds in the African continent and using grist to build my child soldiers a la Joseph Kony and using them to fight
Yes.
my battles for me. I really enjoy that game, and I think a lot of people are just giving it a bad rap.
Yeah, that
due to
game
shit
gets
that
a lot
they've
of
learned
heat.
on the internet.
That game gets a lot of heat, but the gameplay is unquestionable. It's superlative. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I hate Overwatch. I do the opposite. I hate the thing everyone likes.
Yeah.
If you want to do the opposite, Overwatch is terrible.
Yeah, there's lots of those, though. I mean, I hate, I don't know, Last of Us is like the most loved game of all time, and I find it not cool. I don't know, I guess it's okay. I don't know. I haven't actually played it, so never mind.
You fucking
talking
asshole.
about?
You don't need
Get
to
outta
have played Overwatch to hate it.
I have played Overwatch, though. I find it kind of fun.
I have played Overwatch, and I hate it regardless.
Well, I've
Yeah,
never
I
played
have
Overwatch,
played
and I
Overwatch.
hate it even more.
Well,
I don't
I
like
think
Overwatch.
it's-
I can't
I
find
think
a
it's-
character in Overwatch I enjoy playing. They all are kind of just mediocre to unfun for me.
I think it's more impressive and cool that I have not played Overwatch and still hate it.
You know,
I think
yeah.
I think it's the coolest place to be.
Indeed.
A lot of people hate TF2 nowadays.
It's because it's got the hat memes and stuff that people don't
Yeah.
like, I guess. I don't know.
I mean,
It's
I
great.
hate TF2, but I love it. It's my favorite game. Except it's not at all, but it's
Dude,
still good.
Munchie, Arm Retrieval TF2.
Yeah, well, that would be... Well, yeah, okay, yes. No,
That's
yes.
a good idea.
No,
It's a good idea.
No, yeah.
Here, let's get one final question here from...
All these questions are fucking horrible. They're all really bad.
This one's, oh god, this one's bad too. Now I'm self-conscious. But it's Happy D asks, when is the next PCP speed run, and why isn't it going to be the game of the century, Gift, as made famous by Hypocrite?
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
I did a
By the way,
video.
Hippo, I want to let you know I couldn't get past the intro of that video.
Really?
I
Was it
just-
shit?
I had to skip ahead.
I didn't see it yet. I saw the thumbnail.
I watched it. It was good.
Soon.
It's an okay. It's gonna get better with time, or I'm gonna die.
Indeed. One or the other.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yeah, well, Hippo, you are the race realist. You are the race chancellor. When is the next race?
I forget. I keep remembering and then forgetting what I had plans
It is.
for.
It
That's
is
why I
on
wrote
the
them
mind,
down.
though. It is on the mind, and we are thinking about doing more. So
We could. Oh, here's a fucking funny thing we could do
So
at
funny.
at RadCon 3, which I think.
Well, that
will
should be announced by
got-
the time this is out. Yeah.
Yeah. We can very easily have people play a game
In
and then
real
have a
time.
stopwatch
Yeah.
and just time it.
Oh, that's true. Though we'd have to have like two computers set up next to each other. Or something. Yeah, whatever. I'm down. We'll figure something out.
No,
Okay,
we
but
do,
anyway,
like,
more
one after the
backroom
other.
baseball later. Let's last question.
You
Mozilla,
mean inside baseball?
whatever. Mozilla Fennekin, this is actual last question. Which one of you sent the missile alert in Hawaii? Who's trolling the Drumpf? Who's doing
that
it?
was Nate, so Michelle can't go back. He's got her now, and there's no way that she can escape.
That's correct. Well, the nuke is launching. There's no escape
Michelle
to be
Obama?
had. That's
Yeah.
correct. My significant other. I have cucked the man himself, and now I'm the man himself. I have absorbed his wife and his presidency. They are all part of my collective now. All right, there you go, everybody. We're done.
What a farce to inherit.
What a catastrophe. Yes, this whole episode was. Thank you, everyone. What a triumph it has been. Thanks for joining us. You guys already pay, so you know the deal. Yep. Hope you enjoyed Drumpf. Hope you enjoyed praising our Yas Queens, both on both sides of our fair debate. You know.
We can't deny the sheer amount of queens present in both works.
Oh, it's unbelievable. You see, that's why really when this debate happens, we're
We
all
all win.
winners.
Yeah,
We're all
yeah,
winners.
Because there's just so many queens. There's just so. By the way, official petition by the PCP: replace waifus with queens. Like, don't refer to them as waifus. Like, oh yeah, this is my queen. I love my queen. Instead
Indeed.
of saying my waifu.
And
please.
that will have lots of. There will be a little African country where there's like a princess who's gonna inherit like a kingdom, and the queen will be like vying for power. And then everyone will start referring to her as queen, and it'll cause a lot of confusion politically, and it'll cause an uprising, and the blood diamond prices will just skyrocket as a result.
would
So it's
really
all
help
part of
us
our
out.
plan. Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great for our.
PCP is not
And
funded
instead
by
of
Patreon,
saying-
we're funded by blood diamonds.
I think to erase confusion, you'll have to say like my Yas Queen, like the queen that I
True.
Yas the most out of this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm out
bitch.
Yas by this queen.
Can we all get a yes queen on 3, please?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Yes!
Queen.
Oh, mine was too short.
You all disgust me.
That's what she said.
Okay.
about her own dick.
Indeed. All right, thank you everyone for listening. That's the end of this bonus episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep giving us money forever. You're the best. Goodbye.
Yes!
Queen. Yeah.
Yes.
Disgusting.
Yeah. I'm supposed to be working right now. I'm supposed to